Hey y'all, welcome to the team call. I'm so excited to host our first team call on Tuesday. So welcome again, and yeah, we'll just wait for a couple more people to hop on. Let's go ahead and jump right in, okay? Let's see. I first wanted to start off by shouting out our rock stars for Success Club in July. I mean, would y'all look at that? We had people almost hitting 30 and 20 Success Club points. It's incredible. And so many new faces in the SC10 category. Shout out to Mark Lenore and to Heather Masick. She hit Success Club her first month as a new coach, and that's awesome. She's well on her way to hitting Success Starters and earning her free ticket to Summit. For those of you that are almost there or were almost there last month, those are not just points and numbers. Those are people. So if you have 1 point on the board, if you have 4 points on the board, you helped a person like get started on the health and fitness journey. So that's huge. So don't just look at it like, oh, I only have 1 point. You got to change one person's life, and that's awesome. We're really proud of you guys. I also wanted to give a second shout out to our rank advancements. Oh, I misspelled advancements. Sorry about that. Fat fingered that one. But to Jessica and to Kieran, they both hit Emerald. I'm still so proud of them and so excited for them. Emerald is just that first achievement in the business. Congratulations to them. With a nod of heads, I wanted to see if maybe next week we could talk about the importance of getting to Emerald, because I have seen a lot of Emeralds popping in my PS coach team and then in Team BodyBurn as a whole. So a lot of Emeralds out there, and I wanted to talk about, one, the importance of getting there, and then two, kind of what to do when you are there, tips and tricks to growing your team and growing your business and what to focus on as an Emerald. So maybe we can talk about that next week. But congratulations again. Go green, go green. And then August, it's a new month, y'all. It's such a fun time to start fresh and to kind of clean the slate, set some new goals, and y'all did that right here. And so now they're public. They're out there. You are, putting yourself out there for accountability, and I'm going to hold each and every one of you to it. So I want all of us to hit these goals this month. I want this to be the first thing you're focusing on every morning when you get up, and the last thing that you're checking off your list when you go to bed. Every day, I want you to be doing at least one thing to push you closer to these goals. And I want all of us to hit it this month. So let's go out and rock it. August is going to be an amazing month. Let's go do that, okay? So I loved some of these goals. I mean, they were just amazing. So cool. So now let's get into the meat of our story. I mean, the meat of our meeting, what we really are going to be talking about today. And what that is how to tell your story. And I think this is something that's so hard for coaches in general, but especially new coaches to grasp. It's a hard thing to talk about especially when it's something so personal and so real and just so challenging. And when you're a new coach and you're posting on Facebook, it's kind of your warm and hot market, your friends and family, people that already know you. So you might be feeling a little judged, and that's hard. I know it's hard, but I want to tell you this. Your story is the most powerful and valuable thing that you have. It's how you're going to lay out this connective tissue down to your constituents, to your community, to your customers, to your followers and your fans, so that they can follow you. That's what we're all striving for, right? To gain a following in this business. So let me ask you this. Do you know what makes a great leader? And a leader is someone that people want to follow, right? Well, a great leader is someone that can tell a great story. And you'll look at all the 15-star diamond coaches, all the top coaches in this company, they can tell a great story. And that's why we follow them, because they're great at telling their own story. They're great at sharing all of themselves and sharing their own story, owning what they've got. True leadership is when you can make that happen. And when you can make people get and feel a sense of themselves in your story and in your presence. So there was this data, analytics stuff put out by a company a year ago called Oxford Analytica, and basically what the information that they put out said, it was proving that all leaders in our history, from Julius Caesar of the Roman Empire to the current presidency with Obama, and then every leader in between, and they included Lady Gaga and Madonna, so it wasn't just political leaders, but they came up with 3 qualities that every leader had to have. Do you know what the number one quality was? That you have to have the ability to tell your own story. Because otherwise, people don't know how to latch onto you. They don't have anything to relate to you with. They don't know you. So it's, like I said, it's that connective tissue that you're putting out there for your audience. We're all leaders, whether you have one coach underneath you or 200,000 coaches underneath you, like Christine Dwyer. And we all have an audience, whether it's that one person that's liking your posts and it's your mom, or it's 10,000 fans or followers on your fan page. You all have an audience, and you have to put yourself out there for your audience so that they know how to follow you. So, what is your Beachbody story? Let's get started with that. Well, you need a story starter. You need to either start it with an emotional connection. Have you ever struggled with self-confidence? You need to start it with a physical connection. Maybe it's a transformation. Maybe it's your pregnancy. Maybe it's a journey that you've been on and all the weight loss that you've had. Or a financial story starter, meaning that you've struggled with debt, you lost your job, you've lived paycheck to paycheck, and now you've made something of it. You also need to be asking yourself these questions. Can this inspire someone? Is this actually something that people are going to want to read? Will it make a difference? Is it adding value to these people? And am I being real? Am I being raw? Am I being myself? Am I telling my true story? We don't want to just go out and throw dirty laundry out there, make people feel sorry for us. That's sharing, but that's not sharing a great story. And we don't want to be woe is me either, where people are feeling sorry for you and you're kind of just having a pout fest on Facebook. You have to pair a negative with a positive, and I call that an upswing, creating an upswing. So if you are having a bad day, how are you going to change it? If you did have something crazy go on in your life, a death in your family, that's sad, that's hard, that's going to take some time. But how are you going to make it better? How are you going to put yourself in a better situation? So taking your trials and turning them into triumphs, taking your struggles and making them your story, having a mess happen, but turning it into a message to send to people, and living through adversity, but making it an advantage. Like, y'all, I had a crazy, a lot of adversity last year in my life. But you know what? I shared about it. I talked about it. I shared my struggles and I turned them into a story. And that's what I'm talking about here. So, how to tell your story. This is like second grade math, right? Or second grade English reading. The who, what, when, where, and how. That's how you build a story. We all know that. That's not rocket scientists. But what I'm talking about here is the when and the what and the how, the subjects of your social media story that you're going to tell on Facebook. So, what is the first one? There's an easier way to click this. The what. The what of your story is that your story has to be personal. Your story has to be very personal. The how is that you have to be able to physically express your story, show people what you're feeling. And the when, you have to be generous with your story. And I'll go into detail what I mean by each of these. The what, get personal. The more personal your story, the more universal, meaning it's going to reach a lot more people and it's going to be a heck of a lot more effective. Andrea Reynolds did a fabulous job with this on Fearless Friday. She talked about her own personal struggle with anorexia, and she went into like links and depth in dark places with it. Like, she really got raw and real and personal about her story, and she put it out there and she shared it. And you won't believe the comments that people sent back to her. They were saying things like, I have been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, it's a great example of what I'm talking about here. So your personal story, it has to be about you. It has to be personal. You can't go stealing someone else's story. I really struggled with this early on in my business because I didn't have a weight loss transformation. I didn't have any financial burdens. I didn't have really anything tying me to Beachbody or to my fitness journey emotionally, except that I just had a passion for health and fitness. I'd been around it my whole life, and that was kind of my story. So I started following people who inspired me. They were sharing a great story. Janelle Summers, Brandy Botts, Meg Lazinski. And I kind of started taking their stories and trying to make them my own. And that didn't work. That's not going to work for you guys. You can't go stealing or trying to share other people's stories and making them your own. So it wasn't until I sat down with my husband and I'm like, I don't have a story, that he said, yes, you do. Of course you do. Everyone has a story. And your story isn't a transformation. It isn't this financial, burden that you're overcoming. It's that you own this shit, that you are a freaking badass, that you have never gained the freshman 15. You've never gained the pregnancy weight. You've stayed on track. You've never missed a workout. That's your story. That's what you have to own. And so he was right. And while, many people don't want to hear that, they think, oh, she hasn't had a struggle in her life. I've had to overcome that hurdle too. And I've had my own share of struggles, but I had to start making my stories personal and what I had gone through. I had an emergency C-section delivery that I had to talk about and get through and recover from. I've had knee surgery that I had to get through. So I had to start making things personal about my own journey and owning that. So that's what I mean about getting personal with your journey and your story. The how is the getting physical part. Let's get physical. But yes, making people feel your story. And this is my success partner, Megan Eggleston, and she does a fabulous job of it here. They're packing up their car. They're leaving their home that they grew up in. She raised her kids in, her husband, her first home in New York, to move to Florida. It's a hard time. That's hard. That's hard to pack up your family, pull them out of their schools, leave their friends. And she talks about how hard the meltdown that she has, the emotional weight on her shoulders that this has caused. And she talks about it. Real talk, hashtag. It's right there. You can go read it and hear the comments that people talk about. But you have to physically talk and make your story touch people the way that you write out in public when you're talking about it, when you're on video, expressing yourself, making people feel your story when you're talking, so that when they're scrolling, when they're watching, they can't turn away. They can't look away. They don't want to stop reading. That's how you make your story physical. And then the third is the when, being generous. And being generous with your story, I don't mean like, hey, you're a good tipper and you give to charity and you're just, you're a generous person. I mean the art of giving all of oneself all of the time. Showing up every single day. Sharing your story, the good and the bad. Being consistent. Always having something to share with people. Adding value to their lives. I have a story that I want to share with you guys. And it's kind of what stirred up, this and started this in my life, this generosity. I played soccer in college. And my senior year, I was the team captain. And it was our last year. We were, slotted to be conference champs. And we had a new freshman recruit, the top recruit in the state, Chelsea. She was on our team. She was a badass. She was awesome. She could outplay anybody on the team with flip-flops, blindfolded, and her hair down in her face. Like, she was an exceptional player. But she didn't know it. And she wasn't cocky about it. And every practice, every game, every scrimmage, she showed up ready to play. So we had an exhibition game. We were playing UTEP, University of Texas at El Paso. And it's a warm-up. Like, I don't even have my shin guards on. I don't have my game jersey on, but here comes Chelsea, game jersey on, suited up, cleats tied, cleats or shin guards on, hair up. She's ready to go. And it's warm up. And she is just like fireball, 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 running, sprinting, shot, 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 boom, 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 going crazy. And I'm like, looking at the other seniors, I'm like, what is she doing? Like, why? It's warm up. It's an exhibition game. It doesn't even matter. She doesn't even have to prove herself on this team. Like, she has a starting spot. She's the top player on the team, the best player on the team. Why is she doing this? Is she showing off? So I pulled her aside. I'm the team captain. I was like, I'm going to ask her what's going on. And I was like, Chelsea, what are you doing? Like, you're making everybody feel bad. Like, we're not performing well. And why are you doing that? Like, you don't have to go so hard. It's just an exhibition game. It doesn't really matter. And you know what she said to me? She said, thanks. They called me sassy. Don't know why. I mean, they can tell you why. She goes, thanks, Sass, but the reason I do this is because every time I put on these cleats and these feet touch a ball, they go to the goal. And I was like, touche. And she's right. She was the top recruit, the top scorer, the top point earner on our team from then on out. She showed up every single game, practice, scrimmage, exhibition game, ready to play. She was so generous with the team because she didn't want to regret anything. She didn't want to have any regrets. She wanted to leave it all on that field. And she taught me a lesson. Like, I was like, whoa, freshman just slapped me in the face, you know? It made sense. And so after that, I followed her lead. I was like, that's the next leader of this team. I'm going to follow her. And I'm going to be a generous team captain. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to show up every single day, practice, game, to this business, every single day ready to play. I want to be a Chelsea. I don't want to have any regrets. I want to share everything that I have to give. That's why I'm a servant leader. I want to share everything with you guys to help you build your business. So be generous with your story. Don't hold anything back. Don't have any regrets, but breadcrumb it. So don't make it something that has to be like diarrhea throw up all the time. It doesn't have to be that. You don't have to talk about it 100% all the time. But don't leave anything out. Be generous with your story. Show up every single day ready to play. Here's an example of me doing that. You know, we had a cross-country move in March of this past year, March this year. My husband broke both of his arms. You see it there in the picture. The move was now on my shoulders, and I could have been like, checked out. I have to move my family. I have to do it by myself. I can't do all this. I can't manage this business. I don't want to have to share any of this on Facebook. But you know what? I didn't. I still showed up. I showed up and I shared that struggle. I turned that struggle into my now story, this cross-country journey that my family gets through together. You know, instead of bashing my husband that he broke his arms and he can't drive now, I talk about the joys of that. Like, we get to ride in a car for 8 to 10 hours a day and talk about our future and plan our next vacation and, just be together. And I still got my workouts in. I was doing rest stop quickie workouts and filming it, and he was helping me. I was still drinking my shake. I was asking Starbucks if they could fill up my Shake-O cup with a glass of milk. And I was putting that out there on Facebook. So now people understand where I'm coming from. And that is what the point of this is with storytelling, is you have to breadcrumb it in a way that you're sharing small bits and pieces of your story to keep people coming back for more. Telling your story, it's hard shit. It's scary, I know, but you have to start somewhere and you have to breadcrumb it. So start little, start small, take bits and pieces, and yes, while putting my story out there about my C-section, about my dad, about our cross-country move and my knee surgery and Mark's broken arms and, being a military family, that's scary, but it helps me. It helps me feel more comfortable with what I'm dealing with, and it helps me learn a little bit more about myself. So while I think I'm helping other people, they're really helping me because they're offering me advice. They're supporting me. They're telling me they've been through it too, and here's what worked for them and what they did. And it also gives me confidence to keep sharing and to keep peeling back layers and keep sharing my story in layers like an onion, like you're peeling back an onion. So you want to leave them hanging so that they come back for more. You want your following to be curious about what's going on in your life. But you also have to have thick skin, because not everybody is going to like your story. You're going to have some negative Nancy's that are going to pick and pull you apart, and they're just going to get to do that. And you have to have thick skin and own your story and stay true to yourself. So let's do a fun exercise about telling your story. This is the first one. I want you to write this down. Pen and paper, type it out, whatever. Write the 10 coolest things about me, ... and then number your paper 1 to 10. And these can be anything. You can see mine listed there. I'm not going to read them off to you, but it can be anything. Like, you were in a garage band in high school. You got to kiss the prom king. You've had triplets or twins. You are a twin. You were one of 14 siblings. Maybe you've been married for like 15 or 20 years to the same person. Maybe you were conference champs of your college soccer team. Whatever it is, I want you to just explode down the paper. You don't have to do this now. You can watch the recording and pause it and kind of follow along after the fact. But And don't really think through it. I mean, don't sit here and like ponder on it for 10 minutes. Take like 5 minutes, write down things that you think are cool, okay, about you. So, some of mine. I had an emergency C-section delivery and got my abs back. I am a military spouse, and we have, travel all over this country, and I got to live in Monterey, California, which is most people's like dream vacation spot. It was amazing. I married a helicopter pilot. He likes to call himself a military aviator, whatever. It's cool. Both my parents are pharmacists, so I grew up around drugs. I learned to water ski. I was a Sonic car hop. That was my first job, and it was so fun. What else is cool about you? Now, each of these 10 things, they now become a story that you can tell anytime to anyone, anywhere, at the park, at the coffee shop, on Facebook, in your challenge groups, to a customer that you're chatting with. And sure, maybe it's like, that doesn't sound cool. That's not dramatic. That's not even story worthy to you because you've already lived it. You've already been there. You've already done that. But to other people, it gives them a chance to know you, to connect to you, to relate to you, to know what piece of cloth you were cut from. See, people really don't connect to numbers or percentages or even like information. They connect to stories. They connect to people. That's why we were put on this earth, right? To like connect with people, to be in relationships, to have a boyfriend, to have a spouse, to have sex, as Shalene Johnson says. If you were at Summit, you'll find that funny. And don't all humans desire that like connection, to feel a part of a community, to be part of a relationship? Yes, we do. We all strive and thrive for that. And isn't that what we strive to do as coaches? Didn't you sign up to be a coach partly because you wanted to be a part of this fun community, this fun team? And that's what our challengers are doing. That's what we want them to do. We want them to be part of our group, our family, our fit family on a personal level. We want them to connect with us on a personal level. And you know what? As a coach, we all sell the same thing. We all sell Shapeology. We all sell Beachbody programs. You have to make yourself different. You have to sell you, your personal story, the personal story that makes you, that makes you real, that one of these cool things about you, right? And your personal story is that desire that all these other people are going to want to be a part of and want to know you and know more about you. And that is what turns all of this into a business. When you have trust, when you have intimacy with a personal story, now you have a leverage to build a business and to grow that business. And it's going to touch more people, and your story is going to touch more people, and then they're going to tell your story, and then they're going to tell your story. And it's like, it's going to go viral. It's crazy. So now I want to move on to the next exercise. And this is the second one, capturing your most defining moments of your life that really defined who you are, that changed everything for you. We've all got one. It can be, that you were cut from the team when you were 9 years old at Little League or soccer, that you were dumped at prom, or you had a terrible breakup, or you got in this like super big fight with your mom and dad and you left the house when you were 15. Or you saw an older sibling drop out of school and you're like, yep, not going to happen to me. You lost that first job when you were 15, or you got fired, or you got caught stealing, or whatever. It could have hurt you so bad that you're like, you know what? I'm not going to give up on this because this is my dream. Financial advisors are a great example because if you talk to some of them, most of them had a past where they lost money with their family, whether their family or parents went bankrupt, their dad lost their job and lost all their money, whatever it is. And they unknowingly decided at like 15, whenever that happened, that that's not going to happen again. That's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to my family, or I'm not going to let it happen to anyone else. And they almost like subconsciously picked this like career path to being a financial advisor, so that now they can help secure, with this emotional connection, they can help secure other families from ever having that happen to them because of their past, that emotional connection with their past. So think of what that lowest moment was when you looked around and there were no answers, and maybe there was like some pain. Like, what was that pain? What was the heartache? What was, taken from you? Were you cut from the team? Did you lose that first job? Were you dumped at prom? It's hard. It's hard to go back and look at that stuff. You have to be brave because it's like, here's this blank piece of paper that I want you to write this down on. And you're like, ooh, that was a dark time. That was a dark place. I don't like to go back to that spot. But it's where your gold lies, because that is the changing point for you. That is where your story almost like starts. And when you capture that moment, I bet you can look back in your marriage, your parenting, your service to the community, and your business are all built on the theme that you learned in that defining moment. I guarantee you. Whatever you said to yourself, like, this will not happen to me again, I will never let this happen to my family, are they based on the definition of that defining moment? Probably. And it may seem small, but it defines you now, right? And it's hard to revisit that. But as humans, that's what we love most about other people and about you. We love the struggle that people have to go through. We love watching people struggle. We don't really like the successes as much. Yeah, yay, good job, accolades, woohoo. But we like the struggles it takes for you to get to your successes. So now it's your job to go and share these 10 cool stories and these defining moments with others. It's going to be hard. You're going to be reluctant to do it, but you have to start somewhere. You have to start sharing it with everyone, at the coffee shops, at the, with your customers, in your safe challenge groups. Maybe practice in the mirror, share it with your spouse. You'll have a deeper connection with people, and you'll have more intimacy with people, and it's really going to drive your business through the roof. You're going to have connections. You're going to relate to people. Your story is what brings them in and attracts them to you. Like I was saying, it makes you different and unique from all the other Beachbody coaches out there. And then they're going to buy your service. Then they're going to buy your product. But what they're really buying is who you are and what you're made of. And that's why these stories are so crucial. These 10 cool things that you're going to talk about, or your dark defining moment, or your big time struggle with anorexia. So share it with people so that they know where you've been and they know where you're going to take them. They know how you're going to how you've put yourself in a better situation, how you've made a better life for yourself. Lay out that connective tissue so that you can connect with other people. And so that they know how to follow you, they know how to find you because you're connecting. If you want to build your audience, you have to share your story. Here are some great storytellers that you can follow on Facebook. They're coaches, yes, but they tell an amazing story. They're leaders. They tell great stories. You can follow them. I'll leave that up there so that you can find their names. And now we'll go into Q&A. So I'm going to quit the recording, but yeah, you'll be able to ask questions. So thanks again for hopping on, you guys.